True leadership is not about commanding. It is about connecting. One of the most powerful tools every quiet leader has is their words. The way we speak, the way you speak can inspire trust. It can open communication. It can build credibility. And at the same time, it can do this without raising your volume or having you come off like somebody who has this huge ego. Welcome back to the Quiet Impact Podcast, and I'm your host, Stephanie Oden, and this is where introverted leaders and entrepreneurs can learn to amplify their presence, profit from their purpose, and lead without compromising their peace. This episode, I know I've talked about different types of beliefs before, but this episode is practical. I'm going to walk you through 10 phrases that emotionally intelligent leaders use and how you can make these a part of your leadership rhythm. So you're going to want to save this episode. You're going to want to take out a pen and paper and take notes, because when you learn to speak with empathy, with awareness, and with intention, you lead with impact. The quiet impact way. So let's jump in, shall we? We shall. Welcome to the Quiet Impact Podcast, where we nurture the journey of introverts who desire to achieve greater levels of influence, income, and impact. The go-to podcast for introvert achievers just like you, seeking purpose-driven growth. I am your host, Stephanie Oden. We're not shy, timid, or needing to be fixed. We are an introvert, and that is our superpower. Introverted AFF. Absolutely fabulous and feisty. This episode is one that you're going to want to save, and you're going to want to take notes, because it is an episode with meat. It's going to meet you where you are in terms of your communication style, and it's meat that you're going to sink your teeth into, that you can come back and use as you're developing relationships, because leadership is our ability to really connect and inspire and hold the vision for where they're going. And the way we do that is often with our words. Yes, our behaviors impact that almost as equally, but our words are powerful. I'm giving you 10 phrases emotionally intelligent leaders use. And that way you can put these in terms of your rhythm and your flow. So let's jump in, shall we? The first one. What are your thoughts on this? So this simple question, it takes a hierarchical role, like I'm on this throne, and it really turns into a collaborative conversation. It signals that there's trust. It signals naturally a curiosity. And by asking that question, people get it. Like, they don't need to be told what to do as often as they need to feel heard. And when you ask this, you're saying your perspective matters to me. Now, I'm not talking about, everybody can raise their hand. I'm talking, most people want to know that you see them, that you hear them, and that they matter. And when you ask, what are your thoughts on this? And you listen, it does create that level of trust. I know I've been in environments, I've worked in some areas where people haven't always wanted to make change. And they would tell me to talk to one of the team members in the area who they would consider would be their most stubborn. They avoided talking to him. And this works because taking the time to ask him, what are your thoughts on this? He was then in turn willing to listen to me, and we were able to come to a common ground as to what I was communicating, and he saw that it would help, and he ended up being one of the biggest advocates just from coming from that conversation of, what are your thoughts on this? The next one, I trust your judgment. Whoa. These 4 words, they do more than delegate. They empower. Trust communicates belief. Belief builds confidence. One of the transitions that I had to make as a leader transitioning into a higher leadership role in the company is I couldn't do all the things. I had to trust my people, or I could never go on vacation. Like, that doesn't work when you can't ever leave the office. And it was to the point of I told my leaders in my absence, I trust your judgment. Now, there's things that lead up to that. There's, putting them in situations where they have the respect of the organization, where they're comfortable making smaller decisions. And at the same time, say, you know what? I trust your judgment. It may not have been the way that I would have done that, but as I'm developing you as a leader, I want you to be able to trust your judgment. For us as introvert leaders and entrepreneurs leading small teams, saying this frees us from micromanaging, just like it did when I was in my corporate experience as a leader, and it strengthens their ownership. Number three, how can I support you? This baby is empathy in action. Empathy is not a bad word. It's not a soft word. It's not rolling over and saying, walk all over me. It is not. So if that's your thought about what empathy is, get it out of your head. Because empathy is a power word. It's a leadership word. Empathy in action is what that statement says about how can I support you? And mean it. This question shifts leadership from a control to a collaboration. And if you have people that are not quite sure of what they're doing in their role, you get them to think. When you ask questions like, how can I support you? You get them to think because if you just solve it for them all the time, they won't develop that muscle. And it reminds your people and your clients that we're in a partnership. We really are. It's not a performance against them. It's, you know what? My goal is to help you be successful with where you are going. How can I support you in this moment? And I'll ask that in my coaching calls. How can I best support you in this session? Number four, wow, I appreciate your effort. Simple, 4 words. I appreciate your effort. Recognition, it fuels motivation more than any rah-rah speech. I've seen it, I've lived it, I've experienced it. Recognition fuels motivation. So introvert leaders often notice effort, but sometimes we forget to name it because we're sometimes in our heads. However, say it out loud. I encourage you to say it out loud. It costs nothing and it multiplies trust. Number five, what have we learned from this? Now, that is all in the tone. You're not that parent saying, well, what have we learned from this? No. You want to be able to, as an emotionally intelligent leader, look at how you can transform mistakes into momentum. And asking this question is calm, it's reflective, it's forward moving. You're not asking it from a place of anger or who's to blame. When you ask this, instead of asking who's to blame, you're actually creating a psychological safety place. And that's where growth begins. And as emotionally intelligent leaders, part of what we're doing is also inspiring those that we lead to grow to their level of potential. And this question does that. And documenting what we have learned and asking the question, what would you do different? Number six, I am proud of our team's progress. Okay. Celebration doesn't always have to be cupcakes and cookies and confetti, and it doesn't have to be loud. Just make it intentional. We shine when we use acknowledgement as motivation instead of pressure. The good thing about the celebration being intentional is it actually turns leadership more into a partnership. Number seven, this one I think is big. It's overlooked a lot of times, and it's something that should be practiced more. This one can create a culture that shows that you care about those that you serve. Your success is important to me. Not that I'm going to do it for them, they have responsibility in it, but letting them know that it is important to me. This communicates an investment in their future and not just their function or their role as they're working for me, but their success, how they what is it they want? How can I help them get there? Your success is important to me and mean it. People follow leaders who care about their becoming, not just their output. I would recruit people for my team, straight up, straight up. When I say recruit, I would always know, what are the gaps on my team and what do we need to communicate better as a unit? What type of personalities do we need? I never needed a whole team of just like me's because that would have been a hot mess express. So I always look at people that I've worked with before or other people in the organization, or just keep my eye out for, for talent beyond a skill. And the people that I was able to attract knew that I cared about their becoming, that I cared about them, not just their output. And this draws your high pots. This draws your high achievers. This draws your people who they are self-starters. This draws them they're about their personal growth. This draws them. Number 8. Thank you for bringing this up. This big. This one is big. Most leaders unintentionally punish honesty with getting defensive. I had a leader. Again, I appreciate the talent in my people, and I recruit and bring on leaders that complement and that we have a relationship. They're not out looking to sabotage, but they will bring to me in the right manner a behavior that is negatively impacting the team. And I had one, I will never forget this. She did me the greatest service. And no, she did all the things right. We sat down and we were having a conversation, a one-on-one casual conversation. I said, what is an area that I could do better? And she said, well, one of the things is that at times we feel like you don't trust us, that you have to check up after us, but we know our job and we've not given you a reason to be that way. And I said, you know what? Thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that. And I asked the question, what would be an area that I could let you know that that's an area that I look to grow and be a better leader? I didn't feel defensive. What this did was it really made our team stronger, and it created an environment where feedback wasn't feared, it was valued. So we could have discussions where we didn't all agree, right? When we left the room, we had a clear direction, but in the middle of the messy mess, we respectfully could disagree to get to a solution that would be the right solution. That can't happen if I'm getting defensive as the leader. So thank you for bringing this up. Here's a big one for you. Take time to switch off. As emotionally intelligent leaders, we model boundaries. When they do as you do. If you're working 5,000 hours a week, I know that's hugely over exaggerated because it's not 5,000 hours in a week. I know that's exaggerated, but when you are pushing yourself like that, it makes them feel like they have to, and they get burnt out, and they're scared to take their vacation. But when you encourage rest, when you encourage performing at your best and encouraging rest, and you know what? When you're off, don't I'm not going to call you when you're off. And If you're gone for a week, I'm not going to have your inbox full. When you encourage rest, you also normalize this balance. Now, balance really doesn't exist because it's not going to be 50-50. No, it's not going to be that kind of balance, but it's keeping things in perspective so that it's sustainable, so that they know that you see them, you hear them, you appreciate them. And what's so interesting is they appreciate it. And what else is interesting? It models for them and it sets them up for how they want to lead. And it creates this ripple effect. And by the way, balance is not lazy. Did I say that? Balance is not lazy. That's part of that ecosystem. The last one, I appreciate hearing a different perspective. This is how innovation happens, not by echoing the sameness, but by inviting within the boundaries, inviting in a contrast. Emotionally intelligent leaders know that this type of diversity of thought is not a threat, it's an advantage. This is how innovation happens. Taking the time as an emotionally intelligent leader, letting them know that, you know what, I appreciate that. I appreciate a different perspective. Leadership is not, and you've heard me say this before, leadership is not about being the loudest in the room. It's the one that has the clearest, and it's the one that's most grounded. And I hope that you've taken notes on these 10 phrases. Let me encourage you to take these phrases, maybe star the ones that really stick out, and use them with heart and not out of habit. Integrate those into your rhythm, your leadership rhythm, and watch how people respond differently to your leadership. One thing I know is emotionally intelligent leaders don't just manage people, they inspire trust, they inspire growth, and they inspire loyalty. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Quiet Impact Podcast. As you find yourself looking for ways to continue to elevate your leadership, one of the things that I would encourage you to do is to take a look at the Introvert Achievers Network. It's a community for quiet leaders who are building success on their own terms, where we apply these principles of leadership and entrepreneurship so that you can be who it is that you want to be. Another resource that I want to share with you that is very helpful for daily growth, and it helps emotionally intelligent leaders track your focus, and you can do it with consistency without having pressure, is using a productivity app I call Let's Go. The information on the Introvert Achievers Network and on the Let's Go app is in the show notes. Make sure you share, subscribe, and leave a review if this episode inspired you to lead with more empathy and more quiet strength, because leadership doesn't start with power, it starts with presence. That's it for this episode of the Quiet Impact Podcast. Thank you for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Let me know any insights that you had from this episode. I would love to hear your takeaways. Remember to head to my website, grab a copy of the Success Pillars for Quiet Achievers. It's a resource I created for you. And join us next week. Thank you for watching, listening, and subscribing. See you next time.